Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future. Shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable, ongoing reality. Hello and welcome to Transition Radio Shows, Real Talk with the Cummings. My name is Mark.
And I'm Lena. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We have a really great show for you today.
We have a special guest, and we're going to go ahead and read their bio. Today we have Shapeshifter. Shapeshifter is a 31-year-old gender non-conforming homosexual male who lived and identified as a trans woman for the past 10 years.
Having had complications with their genital surgery, which we will get into during their interview, and has since announced their detransition, with their videos reaching many in YouTube land.
They realized they were living a lie and failed to be authentic with self. Shapeshifter states the medical transition has done so much damage to their mental and physical health, while at the same time failing to solve any of their true issues.
Shape states that they would like transgender medical care to be banned for all children on a federal level in the United States of America, and also they are advocating against the transitioning of children and youth.
And now, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys.
There they are. Hey,
so great to have you.
So great to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
You know, we've watched a lot of your videos, and I have to tell you, I'm so grateful that you're speaking out. There needs to be people like yourself speaking out, trying to educate folks on what is really going on in this so-called trans medicalization and what is being done to individuals. So thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Very much.
For doing what
you guys. Thank you too for raising awareness, because I feel like we all need to come together and keep on speaking as loud as we can about how very experimental the surgeries are and how these hormones are off-label and not approved by FDA for so-called treatment of gender dysphoria. I was not aware of any of this when I was transitioning. I was made to believe that I would be fine. It was just a medical treatment that was gonna help me make my life better, but in fact, it ruined my physical health and my mental health as well. I went years kind of walking around like a dead shell up until recently. I was so depressed, especially after bottom surgery, and I didn't know what it was. And I was reaching out, trying to figure it out, and a lot of so-called trans people online were telling me that it's just a post-op depression and it will go away, but it wasn't going away. And it wasn't up until recently I started shooting myself up with testosterone. It's like a part of me that I killed started coming back online and activating, and I was just like, whoa, it's just like this fog of 7 years lifted off my brain. And I was like, wow, what have I done? And that's when I realized I made a huge mistake and I cannot go back, and no matter what I do, I'm not going to get back my fully functional genitals that I gave away so easily in the moment, I guess, when I was convinced I was meant to be a woman. And apparently now I realize I was never really a woman. I was just a very feminine man who got battered by society, who got sold this idea that I could transcend my biology and become something that I guess wasn't meant to be, and I won't be in this lifetime. So yeah, that's like short version of what happened.
And so we're going to try to really go in deep, and I'm a big believer that in order to understand a topic, you really have to peel all the layers and really go deep inside. And a lot of people don't like to do that because they become triggered. They don't like being questioned. They don't even like questioning themselves. So how can we learn if we don't really go deep? So this is what, Transition Radio Show loves to do, really go inside, being respectful, obviously, and trying to get everyone to understand the overall issue.
And for anyone who's on whatever side you might find yourself with this issue, if you're pro-trans, anti-trans, wherever you are on the spectrum, we just want to present information so that you can decide on what you can understand to be the truth,
Exactly.
because the truth reveals itself eventually. And I really like what you had to say about us. What was it, a hardware or a software issue?
Right.
What was it that you said?
Yeah, I do feel like I do have a software issue, and I did have it at the time, and it got sold to me kind of like a hardware issue. Oh, you don't feel comfortable with yourself, do all these changes to your body to feel better on the inside. But it actually took me years to realize that like happiness and self-love and has to come from within, and that's what I really needed to integrate with my original body. Like adding more scars to my body and doing this drastic medical intervention was definitely not helpful to somebody who was already traumatized. I had childhood trauma, I had all kinds of issues. So this definitely added even more issues and actually made me a medical patient till the rest of my life. I don't see how that even solved any of my issues. Like,
Yeah, and we're going to get really deep into that because, we have been sold a lie that by changing our outer appearance, we're going to heal the issues that lurk within. Because anyone that is part of the LGBT, and if we're truthful with ourselves, we are part of that LGBT because of something that went on during childhood, probably adolescence, and so forth and so on. It's stuff that people don't like to talk about. But I think, how can we learn about ourselves and each other if we aren't truthful and if we don't go deep? Right?
Yeah. That's why I kind of posted that video, because I think people not being truthful is what got me here. If people were more honest about the results of surgeries, because everybody just was like, oh, it's amazing, and they were like lying about their results and not really sharing the full story of the transition, I would have probably had better information to make decisions, and I didn't have that information. There were no detrans people or people with complications, or if they were, there were very few, and they always like blamed it on choice of surgeon, so yeah, I'm all for like more information, to be honest. Even people who still choose to transition, I understand, because sometimes some people feel like they need to do it gender stereotype, but they need to have information. They should definitely know that at least bottom surgeries are not as safe as they're claimed to be, and they're not giving you like genitals of opposite sex. They're not.
There's so much that if the medical community really cared about any of us, they would have done some surveys, some polls, some research, anything that was like boots on the ground, informational, studies or surveys or something. But we all know that it's not what they want to do,
Right.
because they know what's going to happen is that it's going to detract from the medicalizing and the big money that they make and what big pharma gets and everything. And I really think that we are absolutely guinea pigs in their little psychotic game.
Yeah.
Honestly.
We are, and we feel like we have Stockholm syndrome. Like a lot of trans people, they will defend their abusers, which I feel like at this point is medical system. And yeah, there definitely needs to be more research. And honestly, transgender medicine should be way ahead, especially in terms of like surgeries and tissues. But why when there's 2-year waiting list for the good old penile inversion, at least on my spectrum? It's like, why would they even bother creating new tissues where they have so many customers wanting what they're selling right now? It's like ridiculous.
As a medical professional, I know what the human body is capable of and what it's not. I know what science is capable of and what they're not. We're not made out of clay. We have, like you mentioned, tissue, bones, and nerves. We can't sit there and play Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head with a body that has certain function. And they may try, but it's not ever going to be like they want it to be, because we're not robots. We're not some sort of machine. We're made out of flesh and blood and nerves, and that cannot be altered.
Absolutely. And our endocrine system, if you mess with it, it's like opening Pandora's box.
Yes.
Literally, because we don't know what the ramifications are of injecting cross-sex hormones over a long period of time on a male body, on a female body, and the reactions and all the things that take place. We hear so many things now. We're hearing about autoimmune diseases, issues becoming more prevalent.
Yeah.
You know,
And we'll get into all of
Yeah.
that with you regarding your health issues and all that stuff. But
yeah, the first question we want to ask you, and I know it's probably pro-wrote because you probably answered this question before,
That's
and we don't want to make this another interview. We want this to be a conversation. We're like, Mark transitioned back in 2003 when nobody else was doing anything like this. And for an FTM, it was something that was just not even spoken about.
exactly.
And we just want to just offer you our hearts and just to be open with you, because I'm 52, you're 58, and you're younger. And I just want you to know that we love you and that we care about what you went through and the pain that you're going through. I know that it's very difficult and that nobody really understands unless you go through it. And we just want to let you know that our hearts are here for you, and we just want to be open to to just let you share your heart.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. I feel so supported right now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a difficult journey, especially coming back to reality that I was indeed sold a lie. It's kind of like people say, "Oh, you're intelligent, you're that and this." I feel like a dumbass. Like I've said that before. How did I buy into this? How did I let people convince me that I am indeed a woman trapped in a wrong body? And that I need to do all this to be my authentic self. Apparently, plastic surgeries and dangerous body modifications are a way to become authentic self. And honestly, I was excited to come on your radio because you guys talk about spirituality and religion too, because I kind of had to dabble into that too, because when I realized my vaginal tunnel, whatever they gave me, was not going to ever work, I literally was in a very deep depression. And honestly, to avoid suicide, I did do psychedelics, trying to cure myself because I no longer trusted medical professionals to help me out. And that's when I started dabbing more into spirituality, and I realized this journey was about balancing masculine and feminine. It wasn't about killing my masculine. And that's when I was so devastated that I killed off my masculine instead of integrating with my own body. And it was just my chance to balance both. And I was just so devastated to find that out. And yeah, so I was excited to be on your channel, talk about spirituality as well.
I'm so glad that you're speaking about this, because that's one of the things that I've seen through the years, that I've had a lot of friends that are trans, and I've interviewed a lot of people that identify as trans, that they try to kill a side of themselves because of the pain, whatever pain may have caused that. Yeah. And so when we feel pain, we want to get rid of things, and not realizing that we need both our sides. I mean, their energy, positive and negative energy that flows. And even our own creator, created us in his image, in the image.
Exactly. One of my deepest psychedelic experiences was when I smoked 5-MeO DMT, which was insane psychedelic experience. It's just a total venom. But I was desperate because I needed it was my way of doing kind of therapy on myself, because I no longer trusted medical professionals after they let me down so much. So I literally smoked this dangerous venom, trying to prevent myself from suicidal thoughts and ideations. And that's when I kind of experienced what people call near-death induced by psychedelics. And that's when I kind of saw myself through the eyes of my creator, which was kind of my higher self. And I saw a perfect being. I didn't need any changes, and that's what I realized. It was just a lot of traumas that needed to be healed from within. I was perfect the way I was. I didn't need to do all this to my body, and it's it was just aha moment when I kind of pierced all this bullshit and fake reality, and I saw what it was. And I never felt so much love towards myself through the eyes of my creator. And I was wow, everything that I was doing to my body was just superficial bullshit that got sold to me. Like I already was deserving of love, and I was loved even before all this BS, and that was, but unfortunately I found it out after everything that I went through physically, and that's why I want to share with younger people, like, if you're watching this, you don't need to do this, you don't need to hand your life over to pharmacists and surgeries. Like, sometimes it just takes time to find who you really are and grow and integrate and learn to love yourself as is. It really, it's honestly almost like a life journey. I'm still not there. Like, even with everything I've been through, near-death experiences, surgeries, I don't know, insane psychedelic experiences, I'm still work in progress. I think we all are, and that's why, like, I also understand how you've been transitioned, detransitioned. I get that. Like, life is about self-discovery, and I'm not against people doing whatever they want to do. It's just I feel like people need to have more information, and this shouldn't be sold as like, if you don't do this, you're going to kill yourself because you're possibly trans. Like, that's really dangerous and wrong to sell that, especially to young vulnerable people. I was 24 when I had surgery, and I was so convinced this was the right thing for me, and like I can only imagine how this youth also looks for examples of themselves in social media, and they think that's what they need to do. I feel like as a society we should stop normalizing like drugs and surgeries. I hate when trans influencers are like, look at my ass 2 years post HRT. That's not healthy. That's dangerous. Like, you shouldn't be doing that, because some of those people don't even have natural bodies, even despite the HRT. In my opinion, HRT didn't do that much for me in terms of my body feminization, because I was already chubby. I had like little curves, But these people, they sit at home, they think they're gonna take estrogen and they're gonna like look like that, but it's not like that. Some of those people are pumped with illegal silicones. They don't admit to it, but it's an image porn that people are selling, and I think that's why a lot of people are getting trapped into transition, And it is being sold to us as a fix-all for a lot of issues, like you mentioned, neurodivergence. I 100% know a lot of kids that are getting this surgery and getting diagnosed. In my hearts of hearts, I know if there is real trans, maybe, but not all of those kids are real trans. Some of them are just going to grow out to be gay, or just neurodivergent, autistic kids that wanted to express their gender. In my opinion, looking back at my timeline, I just enjoy hair and makeup and cross-dressing, and I took it a little too far. And I think when, in my opinion, it just, when it got crossed over with medicalizations, that's when it's really dangerous. Like, because it's also very uncharted territory. Like you said, hormones, I also was a dumbass. I sort of just for titties and ass, but it's more than that. And now that I didn't have testosterone in my body, I realized just how much of a drive it was for me. And my masculine could have provided for my feminine. I didn't need to kill my masculine and then look for it in another like physical body, And that was the biggest realization that made me more vulnerable, and I didn't know that. I was too young to realize what I had. Like, my testosterone was a blessing. I wish people who are trying to get rid of the testosterone, somebody sat them down and said, like, testosterone has all these amazing benefits, and so does estrogen. But it's like, you just have to embrace like what God gave you, your higher self gave you. In this reality, when you, whatever you believe in, even if you believe there is no God and you're just like a game and you came back like a character with certain like attributes, those attributes would make you you. You shouldn't be like drastically cutting off important parts of yourself. Like, you're gonna need it to complete the task. Like, that's a message I have.
Yeah, for sure. If you have to do something to create your authentic self, then is it really authentic?
Right.
Is it really authentic to have, as a male to female, you're like, okay, so in order to be a woman, I have to, create a
Tunnel.
a tunnel,
Right.
a big hole inside of my body that my body says, no, 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 you're male. I need to close up because this is a wound that needs to
Yeah.
shut down,
That's what I didn't understand. I went to have the surgery, and then no matter how much I was dilating, it kept on shutting down. And I went back for a revision a few months later, and literally the whole team was making fun of me. See what happens when you don't dilate? I'm like, I dilated. It's only now when I talk to other detransitioners that also have their male genitals removed and also have some, they're like, yes, they dilated religiously and it's still shut down. But these people don't care. Again, like, as I said before in many videos, they just get paid on attempt. Like it's such an easy surgery to do in terms of like money because you don't need to promise anything other than like give you some kind of look-alike vagina, like not even a real thing. It's like, and nobody can say anything. If you get fistula, like, well, it's, you know, it happens. If you get other complications, I mean, I'm not that bad off. I've talked to other people who are literally sitting at home with colostomy bags and have like infections going on, peas dripping out. Like it's so bad. Like, and they're completely disregarded, not followed upon on. How is that 1% when you literally have real life data points that you're not even studying? It would be such an easy study because those people went through medical systems. They have their charts, their information, not even a single phone call, no nothing. That's what pisses me off. That's why I'm never gonna, people like, oh, maybe you'll detransition too. I'm like, I will never carry trans label because it's just like a free advertisement for this like asshole surgeons. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, go whenever you want, just call me trans. Like that's all. Like, at
A
least for
lot of
me.
people sign waivers, so that's right. They're not allowed to talk. And then I was going to make a point. When you cut your skin, when you create a wound of any sort, the body wants to heal it. And how does the body heal? By granulating and trying to close that wound up. Well, that's exactly what they're creating. And so that constantly, it's like they're trying to defeat a purpose of what the body is doing. And that is harming the individual. And I know that many in the trans community don't want to hear this, but truth is important. It's important for your future health, and it's important to set you free as an individual. No matter how much we try to go against the current, you can't go against the current. No matter what we do in our bodies to try to achieve what we believe in our minds, because it's a thinking, to me, this is a thinking dilemma. Okay, that's the way we think because of our neurodivergent makes us, our mindset makes us do the things that we do. And I don't blame any one of us. We're all in pain. The pain has caused us to do this. You know, and that's what the real therapists that care about us should be talking to us instead of handing us the bullets to put inside the gun chamber and then let's play Russian roulette.
Exactly. Wow, that's like such a good analogy. Oh my god. Exactly. Looking back, it was a legalized version of self-harm. I was in a lot of pain from my childhood, and in a way I kind of manifested it in a physical body, you know, instead of just enjoying my use, my body. I was like, I'm gonna be a woman. Real women don't have like penis, and the movement I modeled as myself, they don't have penises. And I was so convinced, like nobody could have talked me out of it in the moment, you know. And now that I'm awake, I'm like, wow, I was so delusional. Like, how the hell did I do this? And just knowing now how I got like passed around by all the surgeons and how they didn't care either, it's just like, wow, this industry is just really money based. Like, it's all about your insurance, and they really don't care about our well-being. Like I said many times, nobody followed up on me. I went back to gender clinic where I got like letters. I'm like, do you guys studying detransitioners? Like, no, not really. Like nobody does anything. They were supposed to give me a letter, like an email from one of the psychiatrists who gave me letters, and nobody gave me even an email to get in touch with him and tell him like, hello, you guys need to be studying this. You're one of the leading hospitals like in Massachusetts and United States in terms of LGBT studies. And I'm just like so upset that they're not doing it. And I'm telling you guys right now, like this is going to be on the internet forever. I don't know how long it takes, people are going to look back at this and we're going to be like, as one of the first people to raise alarms, because this is completely concerning and we're losing, our kids are getting slaughtered, youth is getting slaughtered. I don't give a fuck you're 18 plus, you still need time to like grow up, you know. I thought I knew shit when I was in my early 20s. Like looking back, I was a fucking dumbass. Like, no, you shouldn't be making permanent decision and damaging your endosystem so badly so early on. Now I want to go live out in the woods, be away from society, and I have to inject myself with testosterone. I'm still dependent on a pharmacy, on blood tests for my healthcare, and that is so crushing thought to have, that I can't even like be away from society and live off grids. I'm depending. I'm a cash cow to them till the rest of my life. So
Exactly. And that's what, most people don't realize, that we are guinea pigs. They're utilizing us as a form of, there's a eugenics that's been going on. And back in 2015, we made an alarm that said there's going to be a lot of detransitioners.
Yeah, it was unheard of at the time. Nobody really detransitioners. What is, and sure enough, just like you were saying, it's just like pouring out, all the ROGD stuff going on, and just the fact that back in 2003, when you went back to your doctor after you had top surgery
and hysterectomy,
what did he say?
The
to
hysterectomy
you?
doctor, because like I had the top surgery and hysterectomy at the same time. I started having complication from the hysterectomy. The doctor didn't want to see me because who wants to? I had a beard already. They were ashamed. They didn't want to take care of me. Even when I reached to my gender specialist at the time.
Thank you for the $10,000. Please be quiet.
Please be quiet. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gender specialist didn't want to talk to me either. I was like, what gives you the right to be experts to ruin people's lives? And I know that it's our fault because we go willingly in there. But
I know.
Right frame of mind. We're people that have a lot of brokenness, a lot of pain, a lot. And we don't understand it. We think, well, if I put this Band-Aid here, if I sew a unicorn in my head, I'll feel better. We're constantly trying to find relief.
I know. And honestly, that's what I realized too. No matter how far I took my transition, that feeling of not feeling okay never went away. And like my body, I never felt sexy or comfortable in my own body. I still don't. And that's when I realized like none of this like insane medical procedures fix that feeling of like, ugh, And I think it was just going back to traumatized child that I never healed, and like it takes a while to heal from that because your early childhood does affect how you act later on. And like that, I wish like I had more therapy because now I'm in real therapy. Before, the only therapy I had was to get letters for the surgery, which is crazy. This is a life-changing surgery. Like I should have never been cleared, especially with BPD. Like the way I identify like also changes like at any time, the way I feel about myself. Like I don't know. This is just insane. I mean, they don't really know what gender dysphoria is. There should be a more exact science, not like I just feel like a woman or I feel like a man. And again, like women don't own femininity. Like I'm obviously a man, I'm very feminine, and men don't own masculinity. And I think that's what we need to tell people, like if you're feminine. But I think like it's harder. I was fucked either way. Like I tell that to people. That's why I want to get away from society because I was bullied mercilessly for my femininity in school. People like I was in a podcast yesterday, they have sex ed in school now and people like saying, oh, sex ed is bad. And I get it, like kids shouldn't be hearing those things, they should just be kids. But even when I was in school, I was bullied, called faggot, called sexual things. But where does these people learn that? Well, does these kids learn it? I feel like they learned it at home or somewhere, you know what I mean? So it was just like I was already traumatized and I was very much sexualized too young by by what kids were talking at school, which was about sex at 10, 12. Like I think a lot of them were also abused kids, to be honest. It was just bad. This is not normal childhood like that I had.
I want to take you back to childhood when you were a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you recall a time in that childhood that shaped your life that actually led you, to be feminine, to be attracted to the same sex? Because that's one of the things that I'm a big thinker. I'm very, very analytical. And I often try to understand, okay, what makes people attracted to the same sex? There's got to be something because our default is to be attracted to the opposite. That's how
to create more of us.
To create more of us. Like a bacteria proliferates, viruses proliferate, everything always tries to create more. Every species tries. So it's in our DNA, it's in our makeup to be with the opposite sex so that we could reproduce. So there's got to be something in us that makes us different. I believe there's a little combination of nature and nurture. So what do you believe set you on this path? What was in youth that you might believe that created this?
I definitely do have sexual trauma from childhood, so that did happen. But I do believe that when before that, the minute I kind of started going through puberty, I knew I was like strongly attracted to men, like specifically like adult men, because I guess I was kind of craving protection maybe because I was so bullied in school, and I felt like I wanted like a male figure to protect me. So maybe that's what it was. I felt like maybe if I had a strong man by my side, he would protect me from the bullies in school. And maybe that's why I wanted to be a woman so bad, because I didn't feel like I was strong enough to protect myself.
Where was your dad?
He's still married to my mom. He's just like, they went to school a couple of times like to talk to bullies, but honestly the torment didn't stop. He worked a lot long hours and to provide for the family. Like I grew up poor as well, but like it was right out of like Soviet Union, the economy was collapsed, it was just like a really traumatic time. Plus it was a war-torn country as well. So I never fully felt safe. So maybe like I thought like if I had a strong man, because I never saw myself as a strong man. Obviously, like I'm so feminine. I felt like maybe like he could protect me, and I think that kind of played into my sexuality, which was attracted to much older guys, and I felt like figure of authority. And I think I was definitely like more susceptible to the whole transgender ideology because of that. Because I felt like, in a way, I felt like the more feminine I am, the more likely I'm finding the stronger partner. But it was my low vibration understanding of what feminine masculinity is, because I grew up in a dumbass society where masculinity is like the more muscles you have and like the more like you can put up a fight. But it's bullshit now. I know that it's your brains and your smartness that can protect you. You can still be a man and not be like the biggest like muscle juice head. And you can still be smart and be able to protect your partner and your family.
So were you closer to your mother? Do you feel that
For sure, I was closer to my mother, but she was kind of abusive towards me as well. She was like always forcing me to study and like not play with other kids. I wasn't allowed to watch TV, so she was kind of like. I felt like I could never make her proud, no matter how good grades I got. She always tried to butch me up, give me to karate classes, but she was always like trying to go, try to make me to go to like the gym and like do pull-ups and stuff, try to grow taller because I'm like only 5'1", which is so toxic. And I feel like she almost was disappointed with me that I wasn't like masculine enough. And I just, I guess, gave up on trying to be masculine. And then I realized being a woman was an option. I was definitely more susceptible to trans ideology instead of just learning that men can be feminine and, women can be masculine, and like just learning the whole spectrum, just like there's natural variation within each sex. I just saw such a rigid representations of masculine and feminine, and that's why I went so hyper femme with my transition, right away. I was like, yes, that's what God wanted for me, but no, like God wanted me, or higher self wanted me to embrace my original blueprints that I kind of destroyed at this point. Just major, like, yeah, it sucks. I just don't know how it happened. I rushed my transition, I literally got like TDs, and then literally a few months later, but it was the same surgeons. That it made me feel more comfortable. I didn't realize that like bottom surgery is a completely different ball game. It's like it's not just your penis. It's like such a big part of who you are, your hormones. That's another thing. I was not on hormones a year before surgery, so I went from male sex drive to nothing. So like, yeah. And I was telling surgeon, I was like, I haven't been taking hormones for a year. And he was like, that's good. You'll have more tissue, more sensitivity, and then nobody told me you have to make sure you're on hormones right after, and like, I wasn't taking hormones because I didn't want to gain weight, and then I was talking to some older trans woman, and they were like, oh, my girlfriends died from like from cancer by taking estrogen. So just, there was so much misinformation. And then, yeah, like when I had to find out online even like about Premarin cream, which is estrogen cream that people apply, in your neo vagina to make tissue more pliable. Like all that I had to find out myself. Like nobody was telling me nothing. Like my healthcare was so mismanaged. So maybe like a year after my bottom surgery, I ended up being in a relationship with a medical doctor who is a plastic surgeon as well in Florida. And like, he knew I wasn't taking hormones. He didn't tell me anything. He wasn't like, oh, why are you not taking hormones? Then I was having revisions 2017 and 18. And I was also telling surgeons that I'm not on hormones, and they were still like scanning me for blood clots just to charge my insurance. I'm like, why are you scanning me for blood clots? I'm not on estrogen. And like nobody raised alarms. Like, why the fuck are you not on estrogen? Like, you're gonna die from osteoporosis. Like, it wasn't.
Yeah, no.
You didn't have any hormones. You didn't have any hormones at all. Yeah.
I didn't have any hormones in me at all. And then I started having back pains, and I was like, what the hell is that? I thought it was a mattress. I started going to chiropractor, and I still have back pain now. Like, turned out I was getting scoliosis, and and that's when I started putting two and two together. Like, I was losing bone density. Thankfully, I went to endocrinologist at Mass Generals. I did bone density scan. And I did lost bone density in my spine. So I'm trying now to replenish it through hormones and calcium and vitamin D, So yeah, it was completely mismanaged. I was let down by more than one man in my life. So it's like, I almost feel mad at my ex too. I understand. He always kept that barrier, I'm not a doctor, and like, I'm your boyfriend, whatever. But like, again, I feel like he could have had general knowledge that like hormones were important for my bone, mental health. Plus, he saw how much I was suffering from mental health. I don't know why it didn't cross his mind that I needed some kind of hormones in my body.
It's
Yeah.
a double-edged sword because synthetic hormones are not the same thing as your natural occurring
They're
hormone.
not. No, I'm injecting now. It's not. I know now that I'll never get back who I was. I killed that
Yeah,
person.
and
And it's almost like criminal.
it's very dangerous. They don't talk about the dangers we're putting ourselves into by taking these synthetic hormones.
They
I
don't
mean,
give a
it's
fuck. They don't. They
yeah,
don't. Every person who worked on us, they're at home now, chilling. Their 401k is nice and fat. They're like, and they're usually straight people. They don't give a fuck. They're like bunch of freaks. Who cares? Like, I don't think government cares that much either. Or some gender confused kids want to cut off their titties. Like, yay, why not? Like, they want to sterilize themselves. Yeah, let's get them out of the breeding pool. Like, honestly, and trans community people like trans kids, do you even know what trans kid is? Like, honestly, like, the is it Pride Month already? I don't even know. I wanted to film a video just like me holding a trans flag and drenching it in fake blood and being like, this is all mutilated genitals. But Catman is telling me like that's a little extreme. You will you will get like, don't go too crazy just yet. But that was my idea because I'm so mad at that's what I wanted to do. How is this activist going like throw blood on animal fur? Like, I want to drench trans flag in it blood because that's what it is. Like, maybe 80% of people who are holding the science protect trans kids, maybe they don't know anybody who had bottom surgery, but I think that would make the only happy transitioners I know are the ones who didn't get the bottom surgery. Like, they're still living, I guess, cross-dressing and have some enhancements to feminize men, which I'm not against. If you want to just know that every surgery carries risk, like I'm numb up here surgeries. Like, I'm a typical HSTS, what they call. I'm like numb from plastic surgeries. I went too far. I wish I could bring back my beauty, but I think again, time when I was transitioning, we had Kim Kardashian, we had the stereotypes of beauty were like exaggerated. I want as a society to go back to like more natural look, no interventions in general, not just trans people.
Yeah, I really think that there's just been a huge disservice done to all of us because I mean you represent like the epitome of like who Harry Benjamin, who's considered the father of transsexuality, would consider a candidate for transition because you were so effeminate that you couldn't like participate in the regular world because you were like what the gay community calls a twink, in the sense
Yes.
you're too feminine to be attracted to a burly bear or something
Yeah.
like and, and you just didn't have the natural masculinity. I mean, it just didn't flow from you.
It's
So they were like picking you as a candidate for surgical procedures. And it was so that, like in Iran, you could just blend in as a woman because you couldn't blend in as a man,
Yeah.
you know. And I really think that it is a form of eugenics, honestly. Like you said something about um, get them to stop breeding. You
Yeah.
know, I really do think that there's an agenda out there against, people in the LGBT community by many people in society, professional pharmaceutical companies or
mad
mad
scientists.
scientists
Yeah.
out there, or, I mean, we could go back to like Nazi Germany. We could go back to, all the different, ways of like creating the perfect breed of human. And I think that they just want to exterminate, a lot of this out of society. So what better way than to keep us from being able to be fertile? We can't even have, any kind of prolonged life.
No, they're destroying us
Can't
completely.
procreate.
I know. And it's almost like, let's destroy them. What better way than to self-destruct?
Right.
And the, many in the trans community don't see that. They get angry at individuals like us that speak out. I've been at this since 2003. I've walked the walk, talked the talk. I know. It's like when my eyes started to open up, I'm like, oh gosh, this ain't good. And
Yeah.
people aren't. And now they're just like destroying little children. And it's like, is anybody awake? Are we not seeing what's taking place here?
Yeah, and back in 2011, there was a, a mother of a FTM
Mm-hmm.
who was speaking to an older AGP trans woman. Basically, they were kind of setting up, what they were going to do, that they were going to appeal to the sympathy of trans kids, and to make that kind of like the angle in which to get this to become something greater. And now we see
What's taking
basically
place? Yeah.
the harvest of
Yeah.
what they did. They wanted to make the country sympathize with the plight of trans people, like Jazz Jennings, and what happened there with all the things that took place with Jazz. You were part of,
Yeah.
bringing Jazz to the
Into the
forefront,
picture. Yeah.
and it was just a way to just take advantage of something,
Yeah. Basically, parents that don't want their little boys to be gay and they rather be seen as, oh, this is a medical condition and my little one is actually trans. And you get these parents that I believe have a lot of issue themselves are utilizing their kids as a tool to promote how good of a parent I am because I'm cool and I'm allowing this to take place.
Honestly, Jazz Jennings could have made so much difference right now because we need this to stop like as soon as possible. This should have been stopped like a year or two ago when first the transitioners started speaking out. Most of them are female detransitioners, but still, like, I don't know what it's gonna take. I mean, I just hope somebody pays attention and just pushes this through into Congress or somewhere where it needs to go through because this is dangerous. I just like people need to pay attention to this. I mean, this is absolutely sad. Yes.
To thank all the chatters in the chat room. Anna 63301. She or they say I don't know if they're he or she. Thank you. You're so brave. And then you've got No Lies Told. Did you get voice surgery?
I did. I had 2 voice surgeries. More dumbass shit I did to myself trying to pass as a woman. Yeah, I had 2 voice surgeries with Dr. Haben in upstate New York. Both of them took away my volume. So oftentimes if I'm talking to Catman, you can see how high his voice, no, how loud his voice is, and I lost volume. That's why it's almost like a lot of people can't hear me. I was just at the border part. I can't even talk to people. Nobody can hear me. So I had 2 of those, and each time I couldn't talk for a month maybe. I had to write on a day. Yeah, so I put myself through a lot. Like to this point, like yeah, my voice is altered. I don't even know what testosterone will do to it, if anything. I really don't know. It's the transition is even more uncharted territory than transition. People think transition is such exact science, and it's not. They're being delusional. Yeah, they're so delusional.
I think I hold the world's record of detransitioning. I did it 6 times. And finally, I'm like, I can't change all the things that I did to myself. I'm never going to grow hair. The facial hair ain't going to ever stop. I tried laser. That my hairs are so thick that laser laughs at them. You know, body hair galore. It's like fighting. I mean, detransitioning was so much harder than transitioning. I mean, detransitioning for me was like, boom, nothing. I started.
I know.
And in 2 months, I had the voice. The beard started to grow. I was like, whoa, what is this? You know, it's crazy. The grumpy horticulturist says, very interesting point. Go ahead. Yeah.
Points you're making. Thanks for speaking up. I know it takes a lot of inner strength to be willing to put yourself out here like this. Thank you for this.
I'm scared, to be honest, speaking out, but honestly, they took something from me that I'll never get back. And I feel like I've been mistreated so badly by all the surgeons. And I've been discarded by trans community as 1%, but that's a fake number because they're literally... And that's the problem, and that's what I'm gonna go hopefully on Ariel's Scarcella show and like talk about this as well. Hopefully reach a bigger audience because these numbers that they're giving us are totally unresearched or old, and this is people's lives are gonna be ruined, like because they think it's cute to cut off the boobs and like it's cute to get penile inversion, but there's nothing cute or safe about this. And no, it's not. Like I miss being able to orgasm easily, guys. This is just so frustrating. It's so hard for me to orgasm.
This is a very big agenda, and there are people that have a lot of power and are able to manipulate what they're doing right now. And we can see how quickly this trans agenda has progressed. So there is a very dark agenda behind this. and people don't understand it and they don't want to believe it. They want to tag this being supportive, and if you're not, you're transphobic, all sorts of different things. And when they find out the truth behind all of this, their jaws are going to drop. And it's important for people like yourself or anyone to speak up and not be afraid, because right now we're being bullied into silence. But if we don't speak up, we then have blood on our hands. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's the blood I wanted to throw on trans flag in a video.
Yeah, and these doctors are like behind the scenes. They're going on Instagram making fun of us. They're making, because they know as a medical professional that you cannot turn a man into a woman or vice versa. It's just not feasible. Maybe in the future, when transhumanism and technology and all that craziness happens, maybe something could take place where they combine and change people around. But for now, physically, there is no possible way to do that. And, that's the thing, is that people are fed into believing something that's fiction, that is not real. It can't happen. And it won't happen. But what they can do is feminize a pretty boy, right? They can feminize a pretty boy and make him look like a pretty girl, And that's like, why is that some far-fetched thing to think that, a beautiful man can make a beautiful woman? That's obviously what can happen, and a beautiful woman can be a good-looking guy, So these are things that they know very well in their hearts that is not possible, but their pocketbooks speak to them. Dr. Sig over there in Florida.
Tita's Delitas. Oh my God. She's cringe.
Yeah. She's doing her thing, and she's like getting all these youth to get all excited about transitioning and having their, breasts cut off at a young age. And Dr. Over there in California, what's her name? I forget. She's like advocating for kids to get on hormones at 8. Olsen, Joanna Olsen.
It's just insane, honestly. I remember when I was getting my surgery, how my little scrawny old surgeon, his name is Sherman, lives in Pennsylvania, and he was like so excited. Oh my God, all my patients are now like employees of Johnson & Johnson. All these companies are now covering. He was even trying to tell my ex like to get into like transgender care because it's so like hot. Because as plastic surgeons, I wouldn't be getting so much work just as regular plastic surgeons. But if they're bundled with trans care, it's like a whole new revenue stream that's like going to be off the charts. And it's like, if somebody gets more or less decent work, they kind of sell it to other people in the community. It's like more people getting trapped. So yeah, these people are just banking. Like, again, my surgeon that I do, so he's already 80 plus probably. Sherman Lees, you guys can Google him. I should have mentioned him in the other interview. But he's still doing surgeries on people. And if you Google him, one patient actually died because out of greed, he did surgery on somebody who was too old for surgery. They were like 60 or something, or 70, and they died. And he keeps on, his office is still open. This is just like, so crazy.
It's like, what are we solving? You're really not accomplishing what you're set out to do, because no matter what we do, it's not. That's what I realized. I was like the man's man. I walked around, and one day I'm like, I'll never be a man. What am I doing?
I'm in the same boat. I'm like, I don't know what woman feels like. Like, I was just a feminine man. You know what I mean? I say women are more than just like men on estrogen. And that's all of a sudden it hit me. I wish somebody sat me down and talked to me like that years ago. And then I would never get a bottom surgery. I would realize that I'm never going to be a woman. Why would I subject myself to this? So I would have just kept on cross. I honestly, the excitement of like presenting feminine in a way once I lost my testosterone, kind of, I was just kind of dead inside. I was walking around looking like a woman, I guess, or woman look-alike, but honestly, I was dead on the inside. And it's like, I wasn't myself.
So, question 3?
Yeah.
So in your opinion and observations, what is it that makes a man, and a woman? What are the determining factors?
Honestly, I'm still debating that with Catman, as you guys saw, because he's still not buying. I don't know. He's asking all those questions, and I guess in my new like ideology or the new realizations that I came to, I guess maybe it will be healthier to just go back to our biology, but present outwardly whichever way we want. And hopefully, instead of just doing the whole trans thing, we can just destroy the notions of what man and woman is, because that's what pushed me to transition, because I felt like I couldn't be a man, which is like, what is a man, you know? And I feel like if more people like me, one of the reasons why I'm not cutting off my hair and removing my makeup, I want to prove everyone that I am a man. And for new generations of twink who want to grow out their hair and wear makeup, you know, like Jeffree Star and James Charles, like those people weren't really around when I was transitioning. You can be a feminine man. Like I'm trying to show people that we are a version of a man. We don't need to be like steal something from woman and be like, no, I'm a woman. Because instead of expanding the definition of woman, why don't we expand definition of a man? You know, like not all men have to be super burly and tall. You know, some men are naturally feminine. That's been like that for centuries. And trans community, as I said, is appropriating natural variation among biological sexes. They're saying, oh, trans people have existed for centuries, and they dig out like eunuchs as example and that and this. No, those weren't trans people. Like like what are you guys talking about? And they're just like making all the statements. Oh, the first person who threw stone at a stone wall at a was it stone wall? Yeah, it was a trans woman. That wasn't a trans woman. Like
Right? That was a drag
Marsha
queen.
Pease, that wasn't she didn't throw the stone. Like I mean honestly, like they're just making all this to make trans look like it was like this thing that existed for years. I honestly at this point I want to know like who used that term first. Like I think in my head it was probably like surgeons who felt back for like a super feminine man or super butch woman and be like, you know, I feel so bad for these fags. Let's do surgeries on them and turn them into something they're not. And in my head I feel like it was a form of conversion therapy. You know, as they converted a gay man into straight woman, I guess. Now in suburbs, like a lot of I do wear a lot of makeup. Like I don't know, like I don't interact with people that much. I don't know what they think when they see me, but maybe in a way I am. They made a heteronormative lookalike woman, you know, out of me instead of me just being a gay boy and living my gay true self, you know. Yeah.
That's conversion. That is definitely conversion right there.
To answer your question, I don't really know what. I guess at this point it's XY. That's what I'm going back to, because thinking otherwise got me in a lot of trouble. But it's still up to a debate in a way. Like Catman's my fiance, he still says that like gender presentation is separate, and that's why I'm using gender non-conforming thing, you know, attached to my current identity, which is gay male. So it's something that needs to be debated still. You know, I want a future where people can express their gender whichever ways they want without it being labeled masculine or feminine, but yet embracing their genitals and being like, you know what, I have a dick, I have a vagina, whatever, and I look like this, fuck off, you know, and embrace that like you're a version of a woman or somebody's a version of a man, and just be present so society knows we're here, because we are outliers, whether we like it to admit or not. We're outliers. We've been through some shit. We're different. We were not all of it was nurture. I don't think some of it we were just born this way, whether we're neurodivergent and shit. And like maybe our point wasn't to breed, but maybe our point was to solve some problems, because we do have creative minds, just like we see gender on a spectrum. When it also comes in different aspects of our lives, you know, like you're talking so deep about certain things that other people should be talking about, who have like way more degrees and way more subscribers, but they're not, you know. Like I'm having like the most interesting conversation I had like in years literally, because these are like important subjects to discuss, and this is like we have important unique minds that can help us solve problems for society in general. Maybe our point wasn't to breed, but to solve problems. But without our original hormones, I feel like I'm flying with one wing, to be honest. Like, I feel like somebody shot me and I'm not fully myself. Like,
you look at what the trans community is pushing. They're pushing stereotypes. And they believe that, you know, there's a certain way for a woman to be and a certain way for a man to be. I believe that sex has a reproductive purpose. Like I mentioned earlier, functionality is to breed. That's our functionality. Now, within our sex, there are women that are more masculine. There are women, some women are a little more feminine. There's a spectrum in our expression, as is with males. Now, we shouldn't have to put labels. Well, if you like to wear pink hair, then you're this. And now they have like 100 genders. There's only two sexes, there's male, there's female, and we each have personalities.
Right.
Our personalities come in all shapes and sizes and colors and expression. And that's how it should be. We should be able to be free to express who we are without harming our health, without cutting or adding and destroying ourselves just because we have pain. And I believe pain is what has led us on this path.
For sure, yeah. I also agree with you that we need to embrace our biology and just express our personalities or whatever we want outwardly without like insane drugs and surgeries, because that's not healthy or safe. I'm all for makeup and hair and clothes. I want people to wear whatever they want to wear so we can destroy those rigid stereotypes of what man and woman is in terms of presentation.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you were on in the social media networks and stuff on Facebook groups, and you were actually having conversations with other trans people back in 2013. RuPaul said something, and you kind of like
I defended RuPaul and I got attacked by the trans community.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's funny you bring it up because now I used to enjoy Drag Race, and also when I was, TRA and I was more trans identified individual, I was also like, oh, RuPaul is transphobic, but he was trying to protect LGBT community because now on this season of Drag Race, there is 5 people that came out as trans, and kids are watching that show. Like they're literally grooming children, thinking that trans is cool. Like we're all gonna come out as trans, and that wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't medicalized. That's what people don't understand. This is untested theory and untested science really of medical transition. And now I can't even watch RuPaul's Drag Race because every time I see a trans flag or something in it, I'm just like cringing. I'm like, they're really promoting this. And RuPaul tried so hard to keep the whole trans thing separate. It's like, no, it's transphobic, blah blah blah. And now trans people are overtaking drag community as well.
Yeah, because they bully people. They bully people into submission, and that's not good. I mean, it's like they're trying to normalize something that to me is out of the normal. It's okay. I mean, that we're different and there's nothing wrong with being different. Life has led us to where we are, and we shouldn't feel stigmatized. We shouldn't feel anything other than understanding that we are the ones that are different from the norm. And so why do we have to shove this down people's throats? Why do we have to force people to accept us, to give us the proper pronouns, to do all these things when people don't want to understand? Some people just can't. Whether it's for their beliefs, biblical beliefs, whatever it is, we have to be respectful of one another and understand that we each have our journey and our path to take, and we shouldn't have to force people. Now, I'm going to ask you this question, and it's like, who came first, the chicken or the egg, right? That typical question. Do you believe that you had mental issues when growing up because of your pain, whatever reason, that led you to transition? Or do you believe that transition has given you more mental issues, or both?
It's both. Like I mentioned in previous videos of mine, I feel like you said, I had trauma and pain, and I got sold the solution. I was attributing a lot of it to me not being a woman, I guess, not living my life as a woman. So I transitioned, but everything I went through was like having different hormones in my body, not having hormones in my body for years, then all those insane surgeries and abusive surgeons that were treating me like shit, literally. It added more trauma on top of my traumas that now I have to heal from, literally. Like I have to unpack not only my childhood abuse, bullying, sexual abuse, I also now have to unpack what happened to me, how I got gooped by this ideology, and I was defending it as well, so viciously. I was speaking about my complications right away, like as soon as I had them, like as soon as I knew like there's no fix for my issue, like I went online and posted that video that's like from 4 years ago. But even then, like trans community wasn't taking me seriously. But a lot of people started reaching out to me, and I also saw a lot of traumatized people just at home, their lives ruined, and that's honestly started just accumulating so much pain. And that's why I'm like speaking out right now, because I feel angry at what happened to me. Like 10 years of my life got stolen to this BS transition bullshit. I wish I just kept my dick. I wish I didn't take any hormones. I don't give a fuck if I got male baldness, like whatever. I would have worn a wig, would have been healthier than fighting my biology. And yeah, so that's the message I want to mainly put out. People say I look beautiful. I don't feel beautiful. Like Again, a lot of it was body dysmorphia. I never felt sexy because I grew up chubby. I never felt attractive. Even though my own gay community, gay guys, they like masculinity. I mean, as much as people now saying let's drop masculine for masculine, saying let's embrace femboys that don't transition, but their actual sexuality they're attracted. Most of them are attracted to like men, you know. So it almost like I also didn't never felt like accepted in the gay community that much either. You know, it's more accepted maybe now. I don't know, but like at the time I felt very unwanted and undesirable, and in a fucked up way, presenting more feminine exposed me to a bunch of homophobic men that wanted to like play with my penis, but they didn't want to identify, I guess, as homosexuals. So they were like, "You're a woman and I'm straight," which is like, what? Looking back at it, I was just playing into this whole homophobia and internalized so much homophobia myself as well, you know, because I've been bullied for being gay my whole life. It was like an escape. So now I just have to realize that I was homophobic and like I need to heal from that as well. Like it just did so much damage. Now I'm embracing that and I'm trying to show people that there's nothing wrong with being gay. You know, and it's like that's where we need to go, because I think a lot of people are want to be trans because it seems like you said better, because like a medical condition we're just going to treat it and move on, you know. It sounds less bad than gay. I don't know why. So
You know, that shame that you talk about, and I mean, it's something that I think a lot of us that are trans, many transition because we're ashamed of being gay, homosexual, lesbian.
right, yeah,
I've got my own like beliefs. You know, I'm a Christian. I have my own beliefs about that, and it's something that I struggle throughout my life. But it's an internal shame. We want to blame other people for shaming us, but we can't like blame other people for our feelings. I mean, that
Right.
means that other people are controlling us. But if deep down inside one has some sort of conviction
Yeah.
in that, you know, then we have to look into that. Like, okay, why am I attracted? Like I asked you earlier in the show, why are you attracted to men? You know, is it a father wound? Are you searching for that father in another man? Or like you said earlier, protection. So we have to understand that yes, we do these things, although we're trying to normalize it in today's society. We do these things because of something, that there's a void, there's a gaping void in our heart. And that could be that God void that many of us don't have. We try to fill that void with material things, with drugs, alcohol, sex, pornography, transitioning, you know, having promiscuous sex. But maybe that gaping hole is there because we don't have God in our life. We don't have some whatever God is to each and every one of you, you know. But that's something that many people don't ever look into. You did hallucinogenics to try to find that spirituality, because we are all searching whether we want to believe it or not, you know.
because I was like, why is this happening to me? Like I thought I was inside, I was listening in that moment that voice that I was meant to be a woman. So I was like, why is this surgery is not working? Why can't I have penetrative sex the way I always thought I was gonna have? Like once I realized I could transition, you know, and that's when I was went searching for answers. And in a way, I guess it did show me in that moment that there's like no mistakes, and even through all this pain will lead me to some more meaningful life, I guess. So which I'm still hoping for. I just wish it didn't come at that revelation didn't come at a cost of a fully functional genitals. You know, that's sad kind of like no matter what I do. I mean, I like helping people and raising awareness, but I still want to be able to have sex, you know, I wanna, and also I want to put one message out. I feel like sexuality is definitely fluid, you know, and at that moment, I thought I would never need my dick. Now that I'm getting some testosterone back, I'm like, I want to, you know, fuck somebody up the ass, but I will never be able to do that. And I blew it, you know, I had that ability, but I gave it away at that moment in time because I thought I needed to do this to be happy, and now I completely regret it. I want my dick back. And sometimes I wake up and I feel like the soul is just one bad dream. I'm going to wake up from it and I feel like my dick is down there still, and it's not. And I'm having the phantom limb thing going on right now. It's very traumatic, and I just want to be honest about it. So people who are considering this,
Please do. It's
Yeah.
important.
yeah,
You wanna
it's
read that?
embarrassing, but it's true. I mean,
The person.
What's that? Oh, go
the
ahead.
real trans
Read
people.
it. We'll address it.
Oh, Samantha says that's the main issue. The real
Quote,
quote
unquote.
unquote trans people are getting mixed in with people transitioning that aren't authentically living their real trans
right,
life.
exactly.
Yeah.
Samantha, thank you for pointing that out, because I would love to address it, and I'll give you, unless you want to address it first since you are our guest, Shape.
Okay, yeah, sure, I'll go first. I mean, I get that every day almost. People say that I'm not real trans, but what is real trans? I think we need, because this is so dangerous, this medical intervention, there needs to be a harder science, not just like some kid showed up, I feel like a woman, when he doesn't know what feeling like a woman is. He feels feminine. And I feel like people talk about brain scans, right? They're like, well, the brain scan of a transgender woman is the same as of natal woman. And I'm like, how come nobody gave me a brain scan? How about nobody is getting brain scans that I know? Do you guys know anybody who got a brain scan?
No, and
No.
that was
That
like
was in
right, and that was a very
1988 or
small group,
something,
and it was
like
because
35 people
the-
that were dead.
the brain on
They were
any given
dead? Oh my God.
the brain on any given time, and you're reading, it's going to fire if you're thinking about certain things. There's no such thing as a female brain or a male brain. It's constantly changing. There's no, trans women don't have female brains and trans men don't have male brains. That's been thrown out the window. And there's no such thing. They want, I mean, they're picking at straws. They really want something concrete, but there isn't. Okay, so
I mean, our bodies do have a natural path that they're following.
right,
If it's a male body,
right,
it's following a natural path for normal male development. If it's a female body,
right.
it's doing what females do.
Yeah.
So
body and brain are connected. They're not separate. They're just
Right.
like not two different things. So so yeah, continue.
Yeah, I guess now you can address like what's your opinion on real trans, because that was my opinion. Like I just feel like we need a better definition, more scientific, more precise.
Yeah. To me, there's no such thing as real trans or trans. Trans is a word they've created to be able to label individuals that are suffering from some sort of body dysmorphia, incongruency with what they think they should represent or be based on how their upbringing was, how the trauma they dealt with. And so, like you said, you never felt like you were a real man. You were softer, you were more feminine, you were different, but not realizing that men come in all shaped colors and emotion and expression. So there's no such thing as real trans. You live 10 years. I've lived 20 years going back and forth, and I started the detrans thing in 2015. And I've seen tons of people. Some people can live happily identifying as trans. There are people out there. There are people that don't. But to label someone real trans and not trans, that's doing an injustice to humanity. And that's kind of like playing, well, I'm this and you're not. That's, in my opinion, that's kind of childish, and not really solving any problems.
Shape, can I be honest with you? I had a terrible accident, and I was transitioning for the first, it was like a year that I had been transitioning. And when I met Mark, I initially called him or her because I saw this caring heart in the ICU. And I remember the first video we did, I said, and it just fell out of my mouth because I saw this compassion that just poured out of this person who had a beard, who was wearing a beanie and had boots on and looked like a stud, but was this very kind-hearted woman. And underneath all of the veneer, all of the external, formalities and stuff of the physical body, there was this kind heart. And that is this person was married to a biological woman for 11 years. Never once did he ever consider detransitioning with her. Never once talked about it. Was completely trans advocate all the way.
Yeah.
Probably has really encouraged the transitioning of many, many, many kids that are now, in the trans community today. But it's there was this connection that we had where the man in me woke up the woman in her. Mm-hmm. And it was he had lived for selfies, taking pictures and, and showing off his muscles and all this stuff. And then after he started taking care of me, it was Oh my gosh.
Something
woke
sparked.
up.
Something sparked something in me. And prior to that, I had been a lesbian for years. Always attracted to women. Didn't want anything to do with men because I was sexually molested. I had a very abusive father, and
You wanted to be the man
Yeah.
that you couldn't
that my father.
find,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
and to
there's so
protect
much
yourself.
involved in this, in this whole sexuality, gender identity. And again, it's all based on pain. And that's what I want people to understand. It's like we're not picking on anyone. I want people to really be truthful with themselves and understand no one is born wrong. And who you are attracted to might be your path to trying to heal something within you.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
I think that story is so touching. I feel like overall, I want to see the future where people stop like labeling relationships as gay or straight and just attracted as a person, because I also was very much attracted to super masculine men, but as I grew older, I realized like I'm a man too now. So I'm like also becoming more comfortable in not being the hyper feminine character I was building up for 10 years, kind of. And I did go through a breakup because I'm a polyamorous person. So my other partners that I lost, who broke up was like last summer. He was super masculine. Like his parents didn't know my past really. So it kind of breaking up from that relationship and spending more time with Catman, it just kind of made me more loved and comfortable in my own skin to admit to the world that I was never a woman. It was just all facade because I felt like I needed those masculine men to fall for me and protect me and provide for me. And I realized I don't need that anymore. I found true love. And honestly, love is the biggest healer. When I look at you guys, I feel like the love you found is kind of heal you in a way. It's like a huge catalyst for healing. That's why a lot of things you've tapped into, a lot of knowledge and information, it's like rings true to me. And it's like it takes a healed person to evolve and move up in levels to see the truth, and I feel like it's important that she brought up your connection because I can tell how much you guys love each other. And it's like it's a very healing power, to find love. I'm kind of going through something similar now. That's why I'm like so authentic and it's coming over in my videos because the love gave me confidence. I feel like I don't need to hide anymore. I don't need to like pretend anything anymore. I have a man that loves me no matter what, and it's like
that's very important. One of the things also that I'm grateful for meeting Lena is that she brought God into my life. And, to the point I thought that I was my own God. And, I respect everybody's belief and they're all, everyone's entitled to believe what they want. And, I just want people to know that God loves you. And that love is so important, not just a person that you love, but to know that our Creator loves us.
Yeah.
No matter what, no matter how destructive we could be in our lives, He loves and wants to have a relationship with us.
No matter how we look, what we've done.
Yeah. And we want a relationship. I mean, you said you were searching and searching. That's wanting to search for, you call your higher self, God. We all need that in our lives. And we're pushing God away so far that look at what's happening to society.
Yeah, I wish I walked closer to God, all those years. I discovered spirituality earlier. I would have not been in this situation. Yeah, it's honestly, yeah, we label it as different things. You call it God. I mean, I call it like universe, higher self, but it is important to have faith. And I kind of like, through all this BS I went through in a way, I found that. And I don't personally call it like Jesus or God, but I can feel like that force and that love, Sometimes when I feel down, I try to tap into it and try to think that my Creator does love me no matter what. And that gives me strength to be honest to move on. Because it is scary, putting myself out like that and the backlash I'm getting. But I just don't care. I feel like we're going to be on the right side of history. And that's what gives me strength. I'm convinced. So nothing felt right about transitions. This feels more right than anything I did before. So this feels like we're doing the right thing by talking about these issues and raising alarms. Like alert, alert, alert. People pay attention. Like trans thing is not what you think it is. Like
I was watching your video that you were secretly recording and stuff, and you were like all kind of concerned about it and stuff before you brought Catman into my jaw dropped. I was like, what's gonna happen? And then he like proposes to you.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my gosh.
Honestly, I was just like, I didn't know how to react. It was so strange. I mean, I knew like it was coming at some point because you know, he asked me for my ring measure and stuff. I just didn't know what was gonna happen during that conversation. Like I knew it was gonna happen soon. Like, and I told him like I didn't want diamonds because I like colors, you know. That's why the ring's the way it is. But yeah, he loves me no matter what. He still enjoys, you know, a feminine presentation of mine, and I enjoy it too. So, but I admit to the walls that I'm a man, you know, like no matter what I do to myself, I give up to be a woman, like I never was one. So, and he accepts me, and like, we joke about it all day long, you know, and having a little gay relationship. You know, it's like,
It works, you know. If you're happy, he loves you, you love him, and that's what it's all about. Love is so important, and to love self, you know, to like honor our bodies, and we're one to speak. I mean, I've
Yeah.
messed myself up. You know, did all sorts of things
I've
that you're
messed
not
up myself too. Oh my God.
it's important that we reach the youth out there and let them know that they don't need to destroy their bodies. They could be, express, dress, you know, be who they want to be without hurting themselves, without, you know,
Right.
creating a life that's going to be a medicalized life. They're shortening their lives. They're going to have all sorts of medical complications, mental complications, which is not needed.
Yeah.
It's really not needed to find happiness.
That's why I used to like Art of Drag, but they fucked it up too with adding like transing to it. So it's
Yeah.
like at this point, they literally had like a straight guy last season doing drag. I'm like, okay, here we have Ida Gynephile, and people are surprised. Like, what's next? Oh my god! And it's like I can't watch this anymore. Just like trans is everywhere. I'm traumatized. I'll drive by the church and I see the LGBT flag with a trans thing attached to it. I'm like, no. I feel like a lot of people just don't know that this is fueled by like unethical surgeons. I wish people opened up their eyes. I just hope that I hope Jazz will come to her senses and like say
I think they
something.
will. I think there's going to come a time where all that adrenaline for being in the spotlight and being pushed by their mother, you know, it's they're going to say enough is enough, you know, and
Jess didn't even want
yeah,
the surgery initially. Like you look back on, and that's the thing about those shows is that they really do show chronologically the development of this situation
I
and
know.
how Jeanette was so munchy mom about it, you know, and it was like, whoa, you know, and Jazz is like, I don't know if I want that. And then Jeanette's like, what do you mean you don't want that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what do you
I know.
mean?
Then they were like, don't tell about complications. Don't scare people of surgeries. And then when T.S. Madison came and she was like, some of people who I know got the surgeries that went crazy. Like, no, that's not it. That's not because of the surgery. Like, I always had struggled with depression. Well, because you didn't go through puberty. I mean, I was depressed too without my hormones. Like, people just, and even when Jazz had like psychotherapy, past lives healing, he was like, oh, I was a gay man going to he literally exposed himself, and they didn't edit that out. This show is a joke. Like, it shows the reality, but people not seeing it.
they
Like,
don't see because they only see what they want to see. Like Samantha right here is now saying a real trans wouldn't be comfortable using non-binary. They're binary. First of all, real people in general have different personalities. Whether we add a label, because that's what human beings do, there are women that are really butchy, but they're married with kids and they like boy things. And there are men who are married and they're very feminine, but they're married with kids. I mean, this whole trans ideology is promoting stereotypes and want to just ram things down people's throats. Samantha, if you feel comfortable identifying as a trans individual and you know you think that there's such a thing as real trans or no trans, that's cool. I don't think anyone should venture in trans land. My humble opinion, and that's my opinion. I respect people that think differently, but I don't think it solves anything. You know, I think that we need to accept ourselves for who we are, how we are, stop messing with our bodies, stop pushing this down people's throats, and let's stop making doctors billionaires because that's what we're doing. You know, we're financing their boats, their new cars, their condos, and whatever else they buy.
And there's a case to be made about androgyny. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like you were very happy living your androgynous life.
I was, yeah. I loved it. I loved like confusing people. You know, I would go into male bathroom and males would be like checking the sign on the door that they walk into the bathroom. I used to enjoy that, but you know, like I got caught up in this whole trans thing, you know, and it's like I don't know how I went from just being comfortable gay man to like hating my penis. I think taking hormones was definitely a slippery slope. It made me more depressed, and then I kind of thought like, I guess I need to do surgery and like find real straight men, which is ridiculous because trans community is like you can't date people who's attracted to your penis because those are tranny chasers. What's wrong with people specifically wanting your penis, like
Yeah.
for the way
I
you
mean,
are?
it's part
I
of
was
you.
like, yeah, exactly. This is so ridiculous. And now I want to use it. I want to get sucked and I can't, It's like, fuck, what did I do? It's like so many toxic notions that are bundled with the whole trans thing. It's a meme. And then when the meme crosses over with questionable like medicalization, that's when society is in real danger. So we need to kill off the meme somehow. We need to show people that you can be sexy, feminine man or a butch woman. It's like I don't know how else we're gonna do this. Like, how are we gonna bring this to stop? This massive monster we created.
I think that what Catman said in that interview that you did later with him was that he was talking about how, the perceptions can be what they are and the biological realities are what they are. But in the society that we live in, if you present or if you look feminine, if you look like a woman, the social cues are going to be that they're going to give you that, and that I think that's what he was saying is
Yeah,
that
he sucks out.
it'd be great if we could, but I think that society, the way hormones work and the way things happen, that these things aren't so easily apparent to the naked eye.
Right. And honestly, there's so many issues that we don't know even how we're gonna solve because I look like a woman, even though I'm a man. Like, and you guys also look like opposite genders, opposite sexes. So it's like, how do we even go? Like the truth of the matter, we're still natural variations in our sex, and it's not gonna be safe for you or me to go into male bathroom. And I am legitimately concerned. People like, okay, are your mans are going to a male bathroom, but like I don't feel safe, and it wouldn't be safe for you. It wouldn't be safe for him to go into female bathroom. Somebody gonna call police. So like we still like, how do we do with people that already transitioned, and masculinize themselves or feminize themselves? Like we will have that population on hand. So I just don't know even what are good solutions. It's all like society at fault in general. Society is the ones that pushed us into this transition in a way, at least for me. And trauma. I agree with you. I had a lot of trauma that I'm still not healed from. I mean, we're traumatized people. We're traumatized people. Like we're still out here doing videos and trying to make something out of ourselves. But we haven't had an easy journey. And like we are really like coming out of the ashes, kind of. Everything that's been done to us.
Talking about it is going to help us heal. It's important because we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to understand why is it that I was attracted to women when I was a little girl growing up, or not little girl, like a teen. Why is it? Why is it that I, wanted to become a man? What was it in my painful years that made me do such a thing? Was it my sexual molestation? Was it the fact that I wanted to protect myself, so I created this persona, this burly, rough guy? And is it our borderline personality? Is it our bipolar? Is it, because we all have all of this stuff. Nobody wants to talk about it, right? We're all, ADHD, whatever it is, but it's who we are as people because of the things that we have dealt with, growing up and so forth. And it's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to talk about it and not be stigmatized.
I mean, I know that for me, just being a part, like I'm Puerto Rican, so there's a machismo that is just ingrained into Latin society that men are men, women are women, and there is no deviation. My dad, if he saw a guy with earrings, he would call him a faggot. He would just call him, what do you call them? And if someone just did anything that was effeminate at all, my dad passed away before I transitioned back then, and he would just let me have it if he were alive.
Yeah.
And I've been ostracized from my family. I had children. I don't have a connection with my children anymore. I don't know them. They have all pretty much just about grown up. And I mean, I didn't grow up as a gay, effeminate boy because growing up in a Christian household, it was like, oh no, you will not present like that. If I had a stuffed animal and I wanted, to keep it. They wouldn't let me keep it, because it was what girls had back then in the 70s and 80s. So I can only imagine, like, for you as a HSTS to deal with, just constantly being like ridiculed, made fun of, bullied, your dad probably looking down at you,
Yeah.
you not wanting to have anything to do with masculinity. I know I didn't. I didn't want to. That was one of the biggest things for me, is I didn't want anything to do with masculinity, any of it. A beard was gross to me, I mean, for me, because I wanted to not be that way, but it wasn't to be a woman,
You're right. I was just denying. I wanted to get rid of my masculinity, I guess, because I was so traumatized. Because people expect me to be manlier, and I just couldn't, no matter what I did. And I feel like now looking back, in a fucked up way, a lot of bullying did come from straight guys, and I feel like I will never be accepted by them. So maybe becoming a woman, I thought, okay, now they'll be attracted to me sexual and accept me in that way. So it was just like this, like fucked up shit, and in a fucked up way, I sacrificed my penis to get 1 inch front hole to please patriarchy that bullied me. And it's like, it's a crushing realization, because in a way it is male violence against us that pushed us into this. Like all three of us, it's a male violence. And that's why, like, I have a trans man friend, he's like, oh, you're aligning as feminist. But I'm like, I kind of get them at this point a little bit. The whole feminist movement, I feel like it was male violence against homosexualism, I guess, that pushed me into it, and just male violence against me in general. I was also molested at 11, so I was just like, I have sexual trauma as well. So it was by a guy. So that's why, like, I guess all this together gave me all this like issues that pushed me into transition, and I latched onto it so hard, so quick, without any question. It got sold to me so easily. And I'm like, wow, this people did not have my best interest. Even when I went to those cult meetings, also known as transgender conferences, how scuzzy and sleazy everything was. The surgeon touched me without gloves. I mean, he still touches people without gloves. Like if you Google it, it's like all over Reddit, Susans.org, like just very skanky, and how like they sponsored this events, all the surgeons and stuff. Now it's like a little different, more corporation sponsored. Just they think it's a new gay. Let's throw a bunch of money to be cool. They don't understand what they're supporting. It's like, honestly, looking back, it was not a healthy thing, to go to, and it was just very much skanky. It's a skanky medical care. At least that's how it started. Maybe it's more professional now, but
I don't think it is. I mean, you could.
I mean, if
turn it around.
If Dr. Bowers is on Jazz Jennings' show and says, "Hey, I'm taking so many pictures of this,"
it's a porn star. Porn star. That's so creepy and inappropriate. But that's normal. That's how they talk to trans. Like, every time I went for a consult, they're like, "Han, turn around, Han." I hate when people call me Han. Like, that's so unprofessional. Like, people just assume, like, if you're a random, like, younger trans identified person, you're immediately a sex worker. Immediately they can treat you as whatever they want. You're already used to this, and like they can just grope you and like talk to you like shit. And that's, I think, what's gonna turn it upside down is, well, all these like kids from suburbs transition because they thought it was cool. They saw it on TikTok and they realized, fuck, what did I do? That once that wave hits, we will have a major change.
When there's a kind of a detransition and lawsuits, and people start to realize the horror behind all of this and all the medical complication, then the pendulum is going to swing the other way.
I mean, you didn't have any dysphoria over your penis at all?
Not until I took hormones. Exactly. I was fine with my penis. I was like, initially I was excited. I had all this group of men now attracted to me that were never there before. All of a sudden I did. But again, trans community is so toxic because they want you to keep on like modifying yourself and killing a version of yourself. So they made me feel like I couldn't be with this man because they don't see me as real woman. Well, I'm not a real woman. Like, what the fuck?
And then hormones play, like, it alters your mind. And it does all sorts of things, and people don't realize we are playing with fire.
Yeah.
We are playing with fire. There's no long-term studies. I hate to see what's going to happen, how we've shortened our lives, what kind of diseases we're going to get from doing this.
I know.
It's just,
I mean, I remember going out with a tranny chaser back in 2014. He took me to a drag bar, and then behind that was a tranny bar, and it was like I was like, so all these women dancing on the pole, they were like coming up to him and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I got a date tonight, don't whatever." And I was like, "So have all of them had the surgery?" And then he goes,
No surgery.
that would be like they
A
wouldn't
killer.
even be here. It's like if men want a woman, they can
Yeah.
find a woman.
Exactly.
These men wanted
Trans women with the extra stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And honestly, I regret having the surgery because once I went out in real world, you realize that people, if they want real women, they'll get a real woman, They don't want somebody with altered body, but then the whole trans community is kind of brainwashes you. Oh, if people don't want to sleep with you, they're transphobic, but they're just ones they want, and it's a very toxic idea that you have to go sell yourself to people and be like, please sleep with me. I'm a real woman. Please,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
So
Or lie and then get themselves
want-
killed.
yeah, they want to create soldiers that's going to go and like promote this whole trans thing to other people out in real world, and it's like so toxic. Like, why not stay within your little lane? And I wish I did, but I got brainwashed that I could become a woman, and for years I was like, I'm a woman. You can't tell me otherwise. If you called me he or something, I would lose my shit and fight you. But I'm like, this is such a bullshit. Why was I so stuck on that? And like, it did so much damage. Like, I don't even know what woman is. Like, I just wanted to spread my legs and have like car sex, and I will never be able to have that because that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Whatever they give you, that part doesn't work like a real vagina. So
Wound.
Yeah, Mark was like telling me it's like a coat pocket.
Yeah.
Men will know. Do men know that what you have is not what a real woman would have? I mean, because this is something that we've had a conversation about. I'm like, yeah, but they say the surgeries that, they even like everything's the same.
It's not.
outside maybe like, but I have like scars, but even like enough people have gotten it at this point that even some like trans influencers that haven't got the surgery, like Blair White,
Right.
Gigi Gorgeous, Cat Black, they said that vaginas they've seen are not that good and it's just a shallow tunnel. Like Cat Black specifically says that people that he knows like from like Fat Life circles and shit, like it's just a shallow tunnel. Why is it a shallow tunnel? If nobody dilated? Like it just shuts down. You can't keep it open. That's the reality. That's what surgeons don't tell you. And the peritoneal pull through, that's another scam. I literally talk to people who lost depths with peritoneal pull through, and now they're considering colon vaginoplasty, and that shit doesn't work because I had that, and that doesn't work either. So
And that doesn't allow you to have sex from either side, right?
Yeah, I also had a fistula, so like the part where fistula happened, sometimes anal sex is painful too, unless I'm like really stretched out. So even for that, I kind of have to stretch myself out a little bit. So it's just like I lost on the whole have left is this in my heart. Honestly, that's trans surgery took everything from me, and that's why I'm speaking out, because I just don't want more victims.
What I was trying to explain to Lena before, it's like, having been a lesbian for years, and I went to bed with a lot of women, vaginas they have plasticity, they are able to contract, and that's what allows the man to reach his orgasm, because there's like a dance that thing does with the other thing, right? Well, that is what they do to trans women.
It's just a hole.
It's a hole, and it doesn't contract, and it doesn't do anything that, and so it's like, I mean, I know they're selling it as such, but no, it's totally different.
I was sold that like, oh, it's gonna be tight, and guy's gonna love it because it's tighter. It's impenetrable. There's a difference between tight and impenetrable.
Wow.
Yeah, they sold it to me, and now they were like, oh yeah, like it's gonna be so tight, and we're gonna love it. I have 1 inch, and I was like, no matter how many surgeries I had, it just kept on shutting down. It was just so bad. Yeah, they completely lied to me and gaslit me. Yeah, those surgeons, they don't date trans women. They're all straight, So, and those the ones, Marcy Bowers, And Christine McGinn, they're married to women, so depth for them is not important. But HSCSs are getting slaughtered, because every girl that I talked to that were HSCSs, they were just their life ruined, sitting at home, regretting, trying to run away from Chinese chasers and stuck at home now. Yeah, so it's just really sad. And a lot of people who were playing up the results online, I feel like they were more like, not HSCSs. They were like, oh, I have like this super amazing results, multiple orgasms. What multiple orgasms?
I know, they're lying. They're lying. It's part of their AGP fetish. Yeah, it's part of the fetish. They don't want to admit it, and they will never admit it.
Yeah, I love it so much. It's like lubricates and it's so wet. I've been like coming nonstop. Like, what? I can barely reach an orgasm.
I'm castrated literally from all the estrogen and stuff. So any kind of sex that I had prior to transitioning, that is gone. I mean, there is no possible way that that body part is ever going to have that kind of sensation, because prolonged taking of estrogen castrates a male body, and it really permanently makes you unable to get an erection. So it's like, it's just like this catch-22, because you'll never be what you want.
Yeah.
But then
you lost your drive.
Yeah, I miss my sex drive so much. Like, honestly, I regret all of this. There's definitely a beauty to male sex. I mean, it's dangerous. It's traumatized a lot of us, but it's also a powerful, hormone. And now it's controlled substance.
You're meant to procreate. So the more you get, the more procreation. It's like an animal. The more their species, becomes. So it's what nature does.
It's also a controlled substance, something that my balls were naturally producing. Now I have to go to the pharmacy for and show my ID. Yeah. It's insane. I never knew this. I wish somebody sat me down and told me, the balls you have are producing substance that's a controlled substance. I would have probably kept my balls.
You need it for your mental health.
As we age, it's so imperative, because I had wanted to get bottom surgery and everything. And then after meeting you, I was like, well, if this person loves me for me, then I don't need to do anything. And he's a health professional. So he was explaining to me how testosterone is necessary. Even the little bit that I have flowing, that it's necessary for my bone density, for my health, for my, as I age, I mean, I've seen so many older trans women, just their bodies are just breaking because it's like they're kyphotic and
their bone structure. You start bending down. You're like old people, because you're, like you say, your back starts to get scoliosis because the bones are brittle. They can't stand
to gravity. Yeah. That's another thing. Nobody told me how important testosterone was, that you need even a little bit of it because it's so demonized among trans women. It's like, it wasn't up until recently I discovered it and started injecting myself first with patches and injections. And that's when I'm like, whoa, what did I do to myself? And also I was very driven. Like before I lost my testosterone, I had like 2 masters and I had like started my own small business in Boston. It's like, I lost all that drive. I got so depressed. I just had no incentive to do anything. I just wanted to be left alone, and I was a castrated man. That's what it was. Like,
and what did they do with eunuchs? They did that on purpose.
They had them serve the king so that they wouldn't be a threat to the king.
I mean, I hear a lot like, oh, eunuchs were in the Bible, but how long did those eunuchs survive without exogenous hormones? Because there were no
not long. That's why trans women die young, especially trans women that get orchiectomies or they get their penis inverted, and their balls removed. It's like, it's all downhill from there.
I wish somebody told me, like nobody told me this shit, obviously. I wish somebody told that to my family. They love me. They would have protected me from this. So that's why it's important.
It's important to talk. That's what's important to do.
I'm just mad that we're not going to get that many views. Like, that what pisses me off, because this is important conversations that needs to be heard. But it's not going to be, because people are going to be like, that's transphobic. They always shove this bogus data in your face, like, but this study said this, and there's only like maybe 40 people in that study or something.
Right. Or it's manipulated by people that have invested interests in pushing the trans agenda.
Yeah.
And that's what they understand, but it's really, really sad. So we got a few more questions here. Let's
Okay.
let's go with the youth, I guess.
What worries you the most about transitioning kids and youth? Why do you have such a strong opinion about it?
Because I just saw how my health deteriorated, how like my back pain, even right now, hurts. I just realized how important the original hormones are to who you really are. And again, just like doing more research and finding out that we really don't know what hormones will do to those kids in the long run, and all those things I suffer with complications. Like I know a lot of people say, oh, right now a lot of female kids transitioning. That's even worse because they couldn't even give me a hole, like a simple hole that stays open. How are they going to do phalloplasty and do all those
That's
things?
horrible.
And I also know now that I was such a feminine bottom, twink, but now my sexuality has changed. Like I've grown. I want to be on top. I want to fuck somebody up the ass, and I can. And like I realize sexuality is fluid, and so is gender identity in a way. So you can. Right now you feel more masculine. I used to feel very feminine. Now I want to butch it up, and I can't. So I can't, like, I'm naturally feminine. Like I would like my full testosterone right now. I would like to have a dick, but I don't have it. I would like to be that chimera that I ran away from, that version of me that I was.
The shapeshifter, as your name entails. I mean, I was the same way growing up. Sometimes I felt like a girl, sometimes I felt like a boy.
Yeah.
And I would go back and forth, and everybody would ask me, what are you? Are you femme? Are you butch? I'm like, I don't know. It depends how I
Depends
feel.
on the day.
But after doing all this, I can't femme anything up. And, it's like, I'm so
Exactly.
early that it got an ugly woman now. I can't do anything. But before.
But I love you either
Don't
way.
say that. No, you're handsome. You're handsome. Don't say that. Like that's one thing I want to bring up because I am attracted to trans men, and like I am, I guess, technically HSTS. Like I'm not attracted to women. I'm not attracted to femininity. But there is some guys from Gender Dysphoria Alliance. I'm like, wow, those men are fine. Like, and I know in my mind like they were born woman, but I'm like, I would scissor with them. I don't know what that makes me bisexual or like I never had experience. But I was even telling Catman too, like I'm attracted to like trans guys. I feel like they would maybe understand me because I went through like this whole insane journey too. So I don't know, like people are like gay, straight, but I do believe like we do exist. Kensian scale maybe is a thing. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I guess as somebody who's been through spiritual experiences, I feel like I'm the feminine. I'm not a woman, but I'm the feminine for the most part. And sometimes I'm attracted to masculinity no matter what form it comes in, no matter what. That's how I guess I see myself. And if people see it as gay, straight, bi, it's whatever, like I'm more attracted to masculinity no matter what form it presents itself in.
So here we have No Lies Told says eunuchs surprisingly live longer, but they have osteo and depression. And I don't know how much studies they've really done on eunuchs back in the day. But depression and osteoporosis can create other hormonal imbalances and other issues. Our endocrine system is very complex, and it controls everything from your thoughts to your nervous system to your liver health to your kidney health to your production of insulin and all that stuff. So when you mess with your endocrine system, you're messing with your entire health.
I know that now. Yeah, unfortunately.
The endocrine system is so like, we barely even discovered what DNA was in like 58 or something like that. And the thought of the endocrine system being manipulated and controlled by cross-sex hormones is something that is so like, it's just such a ground-based kind of like thing. Nobody knows what the ramifications are, with trans kids, especially for, puberty blockers. We talked about that back in 2015, and we got a lot of rad femmes to really like kind of like make a video go viral and stuff because we were talking about that kind of thing. And puberty blockers, so dangerous, Lupron. I mean, we're talking about these chemically altering,
young body.
It's just destructive completely.
I notice that, you feel right now like you're feeling distraught because I know this is very hard on you and you're looking at your future, but know that you have a purpose. And sometimes we go through life and we end up destroying ourselves, and there's things that we do that we regret. but God always has a purpose. Whatever
Yeah.
you call that God, you call it spirit, source, the universe, your higher self. There's a purpose, and you will be rewarded for what you're doing. And life is you're gonna find that light at the end of the tunnel, and you're gonna find the fact that you may be hurting, but you're gonna help others. And sometimes, or most of the time, all the time, we're not here just for ourselves. We're here to help one another. We're here to be of service to other people.
Raise vibration of the planet. Like new age people. I'm no longer new age, but like that's
Right.
what they would say.
I mean, I'm Christian. Thank God. And we are, we are the body of Christ. Okay. And we're here to help one another, however we want to call it. But we keep tearing each other down. We keep hurting ourselves.
Right.
Meantime, they're all laughing, all the elites and all the corporations and all the people, they're making lots of money under our expense. Mm-hmm. And we need to understand that we need to unite and love one another and try to help one another and try to heal from all the pain that we've been through.
That's
but
a
you
sad
are a
part.
beautiful human being. You have a purpose. You are loved.
Yes.
And
It's
I'm
all
so
just like,
sorry.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like it is daunting, like knowing people saying eunuchs can live long life, but they'll have osteo and depression. And I have both. Yeah, it sucks. But yeah, it just sickens me is that how it all comes down to a dollar, and that's, it's not just corporation, it's a porn industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything media, trans is hot, trans is beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm like,
for your osteoporosis, start working out, weightlifting,
yeah, I've been going.
helps with your bones. Eat healthy. Eat foods that are high in mineralization to allow your body not to go into your bone, because your body goes into its bone when it's missing certain nutrients, and then it becomes more demineralized. So stay away from the processed food, from the sugars. Try to eat healthy and work out, breathe, do a lot of breathing exercises, a lot of, prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be fine.
No, prayers are important. I try to pray, and honestly, like when I realized what I did to my body, I was just like literally crying out to God every night. I was like, because I was praying as a kid, but I kind of like strayed away from that, because I started questioning, like, if God really existed, he wouldn't put me through all this, through all this pain, but maybe it's just leading me into my next stage of evolution or something in my spiritual journey, all this pain and trauma. I'm hoping that there's some deeper meaning to this and it's just not some random bullshit, and not, my time is not just read all these bad decisions that like fucking up my life, and hopefully there is like something beautiful. I mean, something good is happening. Like I'm engaged to an amazing person.
Yes.
Like, so I'm trying to focus on positive. Honestly, I could have not been sitting here right now talking to you guys if it not been for love and support of my family. So
that's
awesome.
Yeah,
we saw that video with your sister, and it was beautiful to see you two interacting and just being just family, and just being around family and loving each other and stuff, because
she's heartbroken for what happened to me. Yeah, I mean, she was very supportive and she thought it was the right thing for me, but again, like a lot of those parents and supportive trans allies, they don't know what we know. And I think that's where the problem is. I think 80% of people just supporting trans community because they think it's cool to support underdogs. But the problem is this underdogs, so there's a layer of greedy surgeons that are like money, 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 and like drugs. Yeah. And so it's like, ugh.
So if you could do it again, what would you do differently?
I think I would have been happy had I not just gotten bottom surgery. Like, I think I would have definitely not done that. So that was unhealthy. I would not take any hormones. Fuck male balding. Like, drag queens can look better than some of the trans women through makeup and hair. So I would have just expressed my femininity through, makeup and hair and not mess with my hormones. I would have not gotten a boob job for sure either, because with osteoporosis, my back hurts. I do have some kind of strange lump in my breast. I've been biopsied and it's benign, but it's kind of big and it's sticking out. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's hernia. initially I was told like it was because of hormones. That's why I stopped taking hormones. Like after I started taking them a little bit in 2019, but now I'm definitely back on them. I'm not stopping anymore because I need to restore my bone density. So I would have definitely not gotten boob job, because even a lot of regular females that got implants are having them removed because of breast implant sickness. It's like any plastic surgery. Initial BBL, all that was safe. Now it's dangerous as well, you know? So it just all comes in waves. I honestly feel like it's a body modification trend that I got sucked into. And once it dies out, hopefully people will start modifying their bodies. I would have just been a feminine boy, you know, grow out my hair, and like I would have probably like, yeah, that's what I would have done. I would have not having voice surgeries. I would have not having like breast. Anyways, I would have avoided plastic surgeries and definitely avoided bottom surgery. Huge, biggest mistake of my life. I don't recommend it to anyone. Please, people, don't do it. I don't give a fuck what trans community says. I don't give a fuck what some like person online says. I have 8 inches of depth, fully lubricational, whatever. Don't buy it. Just
That's a
think about
lot.
Nancy Bowers. That person lied. Like, why does it just come out now and say kids will never have an orgasm because they never had testosterone? It's not like they were doing research. They knew that all along. They just didn't make a public statement. Why would they not do that? How do you deprive this kid? If the kid doesn't know what orgasm is, how he can co-sign to never having one? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
Jazz never had one.
Yeah, never. And like you were saying, they're lying about their depth and their whatever. It's impossible. If you know what tissue does and they know exactly what the surgery is, it's impossible for them to claim what they're claiming. But the lay person doesn't know medical facts, and so they're easily persuaded and lied to.
Yeah.
So people need to educate themselves.
They really do.
Because this is no joke. This is not a game. We're playing with our lives. We're destroying our health. We're pushing an agenda that's going to be destructive to the future generation.
People that I know that transition at the same time, like, you know, guys who look similar like mine, they kept their dicks and they're happy. They're jerking off OnlyFans, making thousands of dollars using the trans label. It's the hottest thing right now. It's hot, it's unique, But people who actually did the whole thing and just wanted to live life as man and woman of the opposite binary were all just kind of got gooped. And I think that's a problem because 80% of people don't have the bottom surgery. I don't know if that number is correct. Somebody said 13% of trans people get bottom surgery. It seems like larger right now.
Small percentage, yeah.
But then 80% of them still carrying the trans label and making it look like it's safe for people who decide to do it, but it's not safe.
It's not.
Yeah.
Long term, there's a lot of complications. Just being on hormones alone, doing any kind of modification in your body. Cancer is attacking 1 out of 3 people, and we're
Almost 1 out of 2.
Almost 1 out of 2. And imagine we're adding
Higher
bullets.
in men.
Yeah, we're adding bullets to the chamber every time we do stuff. Every time we go under surgery, people don't understand. We're not made out of clay. It affects us. It affects our health, our mind, our nervous system, our endocrine system. We need to start really realizing what we're doing. For what? For a short-term amount of happiness, honeymoon state, and then after you get older, that's when the problems start.
Also, for what? To look like archetype of a certain type of woman, you know what I mean? Or a man.
Yeah.
Like, this is so toxic, you know what I mean? This whole thing is bullshit. The whole passability thing, it's just completely toxic notion. Passable, what does that even mean? Like, I did all this bullshit for what? To be passable? Like, oh God.
It's all vanity. It's all about looks.
Instagram.
There's nothing in depth. It's like nobody wants to transition to be a woman, to be a nun, or to be a house. What do you call it?
To wear one of those burqas.
Stuff. They made every trans woman wear a burqa or wear. There
would be a lot less.
There would be no trans woman. No,
you're right. That's a good point. Nobody brought that up. That should be really studied. That's, again, I'm telling you, societal issues. It's society pressures us to modify our bodies and feel like we need to fit a certain mold, And I don't know, society has a long ways to go. And like Catman was saying, they perceive me as a woman, I guess, and like I can't change that right now. So it's like, but I'm a man. So there's some naturally feminine people out there and naturally masculine people out there. So society should stop just assuming, I guess, or treat people of women and men differently. Maybe
And
that
not
would
look at
contribute
beauty,
too.
because it's like trans women want to transition to be a beautiful
Not
woman,
just a woman.
not just not an ugly woman or no, a
Not
beautiful.
Jessica Unive. Not Jessica Unive.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
if they like weren't going to be beautiful, they don't want to do it.
Remember the movie Tootsie? Dustin Hoffman was in it.
Sounds
It's
familiar. Yeah.
it's an 80s movie about a guy who was an actor, and then he kind of lost his job, and then the only way he could get a good job was to become
The housekeeper,
like a woman or something,
Yeah.
and to be in a soap opera. So in order to get the movie sold, the producers wanted Dustin Hoffman to dress as a woman and walk down the streets of New York City, go down Times Square, and if he could pass, then they were like, okay. And then
Yes.
he was able to pass, I guess, but he's like, yeah, but I want to be a beautiful woman. And they go, that's all you got,
God, Charlie, that
We
doesn't
don't
get
got-
any more
We don't
beautiful."
have any more for you. This is
Yeah.
it, And
You guys
it's,
are right. Yeah.
It's all about beauty.
all
It's
about-
vanity,
It's making ourselves into our own idol
Yeah, we're
to
making.
worship ourselves.
Yeah, it's
You know?
narcissism. I mean, I was like
You're right.
pictures, and it was all about my muscles. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, what was I doing?
I bought a camera and I was taking selfies like crazy in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like this.
I know. Me too.
It's an obsession. We fall in love with the image that we're creating, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. I did that too. I still do that. I still take pictures. I enjoy my femininity. I do.
Yeah.
But
I
it's a
don't-
void. It's a void, right? That we're trying to search for something inside of us through our image. And we need to look deeper, because beauty is skin deep. Beauty comes from our personality, our spirit,
And there is something that we are all missing
Yeah.
that we need to find, or that needs to find us,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
I was listening to another detransitioner who was on YouTube, and he's really, really struggling. It's
Yeah.
really, really hard. Just cut off all his hair. And,
Oh yeah,
it's-
I love Cluniac. You guys know about Cluniac? Oh my
Yes.
god, that was iconic.
I
Yes.
know.
Catman didn't like it, but I was living for it. He was like, I want to be a bird, but I'm a worm. Like, that was iconic. Honestly, I love Cluniac. I get
Yeah.
it.
It was just sad because he goes, there's like this hole in my heart that I've been trying to fill, and I can't find an answer.
I understand him.
Looking
Yeah.
for my whole life.
Yeah.
And we can all say that.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
It's our journey, and I think it's the journey of mankind to find the truth, of
Right.
who we are and what
And
what
who made us,
us,
and have that relationship with who made us, so that we could be whole.
I was looking forward to this podcast because I knew it was going to go super deep and interesting. Because a lot of other podcasts that I went to was just about my transition, maybe about politics. But this one, like, I love talking about like religion and spirituality and like a journey as a being, That's why I like Cluniac too, because I feel like he's a very deep, intelligent person. Like, I like his content. Even some stuff he says is so funny as well. It's like, it's funny, unique, sad, philosophical. It's all at the same time in one video. Yeah, I love the video. I didn't want it to be an hour long, but I guess I listened to the whole hour long video. I don't know how it happened, but I did.
No, we just like, there's like this, we had this encounter with this older guy at church today. I mean, we just randomly sat down at the table. Church has like coffee that they give, hand out and stuff like that. And we just sat there, and older guy, he just showed up at church when, outside, and he's telling about his near-death experience. When he was 13 years old, he got hit by a car, and his body was translated out of itself, and he was looking down at himself in the street, right? And he could see his body, and then he could feel like, what was it?
He's like levitating, like he was pulled out of this dimension into the other dimension realm, and he then faced like all these men with robes, and he never
Men and
felt
women,
men
men
and
that were like, you could tell they were men. They were bigger boned, and
right,
the women were smaller framed, and but they were all so happy. They were so like
at
full of
peace.
love and joy, and he didn't want to leave. He was like, I don't want to go,
Yeah,
and it was
but
like,
they brought him back to life,
yeah.
and
And
it's
he
like
felt the weight. He said he felt the weight
Yeah,
of the
it's
world
very
back.
dense dimension. It's very
yeah.
dense. Being
So
a
you had
nurse, it's like it's so dense. It's
experience.
heavy.
You had a near death experience yourself.
Well, not like the way he did it, but I did smoke toad venom, which is 5-MeO DMT, which is also called God molecule.
Wow.
It's not the same as regular NN-DMT, which is like what Joe Rogan talks about. Everybody's living for it. The 5-MeO DMT, it's more rare substance. I don't recommend it to anyone. It was by far the most intense experience of my life and the most beautiful. And I did it twice a week apart, but it was very strong, and it took me like a while to integrate my experience. And of course, shaman I did it with, he wasn't the most ethical shaman. He just gave me the medicine, and I was just kind of left to my own devices. What else is new? I feel like that's whether you go for regular medical professionals
Right.
or spirituals, they kind of let you down, and it's like you kind of have to find your own way. I don't recommend it, but it was kind of a near death experience. As I did more research, I mean, some people say it wasn't because you didn't actually die, but it felt like I've done this before. Like I've lived this life many times before into infinity, and it
Yeah.
seemed like a perfect code. Like I wouldn't change a thing, and my creator didn't make a mistake, and I did see myself through like the eyes of my creator, and I saw a perfect being. That's when I kind of started realized that I was loved unconditionally, and like there was nothing wrong with me, and I was perfect the way I was. That's what I realized from that experience. Yeah, and coming back into this reality, I felt light. I felt like everything's gonna be fine. Like I've lived this life before many times, and it's all leading me to a certain outcome. At the time, I misinterpreted it because I felt after I researched it, I felt like it was a whole twin flame situation. I felt like I saw myself through the eyes of my masculine, and I saw a perfect feminine. But when I broke up with my other boyfriend, like me and Catman kind of broke up at the same time, like shortly after. We're back together now and engaged. But like I went through some hard times that like led me to this awakening and peaking and realizing that I was not a woman. And that's when I realized, oh shoot, I misinterpreted the message. It was about balancing masculine feminism and myself. Like that's when I realized it wasn't like another person. And that's when I started balancing it within me. Like Catman came back into my life, and we're kind of like back together. We're in a way better place because I don't have as much expectation from him to be like a perfect man, because I know I'm a man too. So like I don't have this like rigid expectations. It's almost like killed our relationship too in a way. Yeah, he's like joking. He's like, now that you're a man, can you please like not take up the whole bathroom?
That balance that you're talking about is so important in a relationship, and being truthful and open and not having little stereotypical boundaries and things of that nature. Because when we have that expectation of ourselves or others, there can't be a good relationship. It's important to accept who we are fully, 100%, not just certain parts of you, but all parts of you. Because
But
that's how
you know what I also realized was the whole hormone situation. I felt like I was attracted to this uber masculine guys, but because I have so much testosterone, they're so masculinized, they could never understand my emotions, and that's why there was a disconnect. When I was a dude, I was just focused on money and sex and stuff like that, and achieving career goals, so I could understand them better. It was just about hookups and whatever. It wasn't that deep. Like I had relationships, but it wasn't nowhere as deep as like without testosterone. Then estrogen added, and now I'm back on testosterone. So it's just like I kind of understood that like I'm not gonna be able to be in a happy relationship with super masculine guy, because oftentimes they're just not that emotional, and I like that emotionality. I like my guy who like has some, I guess, emotional aspects to him, kind of like myself. I need a man who's in touch with his emotional side, and that's when I kind of started falling in love more with a cat man. And it's also my heart was opening up more because I lost one partner, so I had more shares of my heart to give to cat man. So it's just I realized like, oh, now that I'm not a woman, like I don't need to be with uber masculine guy to be happy. So that was a big revelation.
Well, I mean, I love Mark, because he is just such a beautiful blend of all of it. It just really, it just blows me away that God would provide a person like this for me to be able to age with, because he is just, she is just the best, and I'm just so grateful for this person coming into my life. I mean, definitely plays more of the masculine role in this relationship, um, because they're naturally very masculine. I mean, was a masculine woman, was a butch, was a lesbian type, but also could be feminine at times too. But it's like, this is a beautiful, beautiful mix of the two. And he talks about how he doesn't understand how when people get on testosterone that they can't cry.
I cry. I cry when I get emotional in movies. I've always tried to be in touch with my emotions. It's important. That's how you heal. Especially people like us who have been sexually molested. We have pain and trauma. We need to be in touch. We can't hide our emotions. We got to feel them. We got to own them. We've got to just try to unravel them, and be real. Wrestle with them. Be real with ourselves. That's how we're going to heal. Shapeshifter.
You're right. Yeah. Honestly, I've learned so much from you guys, and I just see so much of my journey, like in your journey. It's like, and the whole pronouncing, it's bullshit. I try to see people as like people, but I understand I'm a man, and one of the reasons why I'm like so firm on being here right now. Like, but if people call me shit, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's just to honestly stop this whole transgender movement track just because it's medicalized. Other than that, like when I look at you, I see like feminine, masculine energy. I'm not like too focused on who had what surgery done. That's what my journey taught me, just to see more energies.
I want to take this time.
We're all on a healing journey, and hopefully we get there somehow in this lifetime, because we've been through a lot, and we deserve to be healed at some point soon.
We do. Everyone in the LGBT community needs to be healed and become aware. There's no healing without awareness.
Yeah.
We need to be aware that we have pain, and we need to go back and find out, where did this all start? Why am I this way? And it's okay to question that, and to like problem solve and pick it apart. Hiding it and pretending, and that's not going to help us.
Right.
We need to heal, and we need to help each other heal.
And I was really concerned because you were talking about things about suicidal ideation, and you don't know how long you have on this planet. I hope that you live a very long, blessed life.
Thank you, guys. I hope so. I mean, I'm trying.
And we're here for you,
yes,
100%. And if you ever want to reach out,
yes,
I hope that we stay in touch, because I mean,
thank you so much, guys.
Really do love you.
Yes.
Thank you. I love you too, guys. I appreciate you existing in this world as well. I'm not gonna do the S word, because I have people who love me, and also we need to fight. We need to save the children.
Yes,
there might be some real trans people, but there is no way they're in these numbers that we're seeing right now. These are definitely kids that need help, and they need their parents need information. Their loved ones need information. So my sister is heartbroken. My parents are heartbroken for what happened to me. My aunt and uncle, all my loved ones, they absolutely hate the fact that I'm not happy with my transition, So people need to have information, and we can't give up till we spread more information. Exactly. That's our mission, and this shouldn't be happening to other people. Or if it's happening, they need more. We need more science. We do. But better drugs. If we're gonna do this, they need to be better tissues, better surgeries, better, safer drugs, and we don't have that yet. Then it's not ethical to offer it to masses like that.
Right.
And people need to heal. Look at the real problem. Look at the core. Not just put a Band-Aid.
They literally just gave SRS to a homeless person. Like, I wonder how much trauma that person has been through. And now they're gonna lose their endosystem, and that means they may die out on the street from osteoporosis or some shit. It's like, are you guys serious? That person definitely had trauma for sure. I mean, there'll be one person in the comment, just because someone is homeless doesn't mean they don't have trauma. That's ridiculous. I mean,
we live in a world now that you can't say anything. Everybody always has an opposing view, and they want to attack. We need to learn to communicate, and whether we agree to disagree, communicating, having conversations is what's
Yeah.
going to help us.
I know. Dropping trans label made me so open to conversations. I'm getting testosterone back in my blood. I'm less sensitive. I was finally able to get over my breakup from a year ago. I'm so happy. I am not feeling that pain I used to feel inside. And it's just like people will write bullshit comments. I'm like, I don't care that much. You know what I mean? It's like if I was still on estrogen or no hormones like I used to be, I was so sensitive. I also, now looking back, I was such a sensitive boy. Like getting rid of my testosterone was the worst decision for my future because it's hard to live in society. Like there's so many opinions, heartbreaks.
You got to be harder.
Honestly, I understand you feel still emotional on testosterone, but on average, I feel less emotional. And like it was the worst decision to get rid of my testosterone. Like it made
Well,
me.
there's a balance. You got to find that balance, you know,
Yeah.
and we can't go into extremes. And that's one thing I find that transgender individuals, we like extremes.
Yes,
What
I know.
you know, there's no happy
Yeah.
medium. We need to find that middle road. You know?
I know. That's why I took my transition so far. And that's why when I was watching some interviews with you, I was like, I understand this person. Like I can relate so much. Like I do things to extreme too. That's why now I can't like sleep at night. And I'm like, I need to do something. I need to make a difference because what happened to me shouldn't be happening right now to other people. And I go from one to extreme to another, and it's like occupying so much of my brain. And even my ex-husband / my sugar daddy from that video, he's like, take time, spend some time with Catman. You know, it's like I'm like, I want to, but it's also kind of like my job right now to spread awareness and talk to people and grow a community so we can all defeat these monsters that were created, kind of.
Care of your health. Find some time for health care, self-care. You know, do things to help with your osteoporosis. Start introducing healthy foods. You know, things to balance yourself out because that's the key.
I will, yeah. I'm trying not to go too crazy with activism. That's why I'm like, how do I get hurt? And like, Catman's like, that's too much. Don't pour blood on trans light on camera. Don't do that just yet. I'm like, okay, I guess maybe you're right. Maybe it's a bad idea.
You're rightfully.
I'm angry. Yeah, I'm angry.
Yeah, you have every right.
I mean,
you know,
they did you wrong.
Yeah,
they did a lot of people wrong.
Yeah,
and it really is something. If you have any kind of BPD or OCD or
Which
any of those things, I mean, it's just like it's wrong for doctors to corral everybody into the transgender umbrella and to say that transing someone is going to like solve all of their problems. I mean, that is so dumb, right? That's just dumb.
It is,
but
dumb.
They know why. They know why. They want to make money.
Do you have any final words you would like to say?
I just want to thank you guys for having me. I feel like I got free therapy session that I needed. Like I need as much therapy as I can get. Like, so I felt like I was talking to kindred souls. That's all I have to say. I enjoyed this. I really did. It was such a great conversation. I hope some people listen to it and it helps them in some ways to learn from our mistakes, or I don't want to call it mistakes. I guess from what I saw during that near-death experience, there were no mistakes. It was just a perfect code written. I was just going from not to not and just expanding. So I guess hopefully this will help other people expand and avoid doing physical damage to their body and instead look for more healthier options to make themselves feel better. That's all I have to say. And that's it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for reaching out, and I enjoyed this.
Hope you get on Joe Rogan so you could share your message to a large
DMT. Yeah, I mean, it's not too far fetched. I mean, Blair White was there, and people call me like Blair White of the trans community. But you know, yeah, I'm hoping to go on Ariel Carcella like we were supposed to.
That'll be great too.
Yeah, people said Blair White, but I feel like there could be some tensions, you know, simply because I don't identify as a woman anymore. And she's still saying I'm like trans woman, but biological male. So I'm like, I feel like she's still endorsing partial transition, you know, which I feel like any kind of medical transition is not safe, you know. But again, at least it's better to have some audience and not, and I do like it. So I feel like we're on the same page in terms of like this is not safe for kids. And I'll work with anyone. I'll talk to Red Fam, I'll talk to you, I'll talk to people who are still trans but concerned about safety of surgeries. Like we can't pick and choose right now because we just don't have that many numbers.
Exactly.
And
we have to unite. You know, we have to unite. Fighting one another is not going to solve anything.
I'm also scared of backlash. That's why I was like in my little pink bubble. People like red films protected me. But like once I go on a bigger platform, it means there'll definitely be more backlash. So that's why before then I kind of want to also gather myself together as well. So, but yeah, I think Joe Rogan is far fetched right now, but I think Blair White is an option in the near future
Yeah.
to reach a bigger audience and just tell them that like this is not safe. Wake up, people, wake up.
Well, thank you so much,
You know,
and love you. Take
love you
care.
guys.
Bye.
Hugs. Thank you for your
Yes.
time.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Catch you next week. Thank you guys for being part of this wonderful conversation and this wonderful show. We'll catch you guys later. We love you, but remember to always love yourselves too.
Yay.
Good night. Bye bye.
Okay. How do I exit? Do I just like exit?